And a very good morning to you, Survivor. So as Alpha 18 sort of draws too close because we are probably looking at Alpha 19 sometime at the end of the month, hopefully, fingers crossed, as we hit the Steam summer sale. I wanted to recap my top 5 base builds that I have done in Alpha 18. They are not necessarily based, judged just based on effectiveness. It's also been based on how fun they are, how fun I had making them, if they're using any cool concept that people don't necessarily use normally, and sort of just aesthetic base that I really like and would use. And of course, I've made tons of bases. I don't know, I was looking around on my map on my different bases. You see, all the roads here have bases. Every time you see something on the road, it means there's a base here. I built pretty much all over the place. I usually use the road simple because it's nice and flat, so it makes it fairly easy to just build. So I have tons of bases around, and I'm going to be missing this clubhouse as well that I built for my Patreon members, and I do appreciate everyone's support, whether it's on Patreon, whether it's on Twitch, maybe it's on YouTube, wherever, and of course everyone on my Discord community. It's been a great ride, and it will continue into the sunset. No, we'll continue into Alpha 19 as well, and I will have to rebuild this amazing place. But anyway, top 5. Which are they? And maybe you'll agree and think these are cool bases. Maybe you'll think they're really crappy. I would love to hear from your perspective. What are the top 5 base build concepts that you haven't been making in your worlds? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the video. On number 5, I would have to put my confused zombie base. Now, it is using the exploit of zombies basically running in over here, coming up here, and basically just standing around. And this is where the dart trap basically just slaughter them. Or you could just be standing up there throwing grenades or molotovs, etc. If you want, you can draw them over here where they will be slowly jumping, falling, jumping, falling, jumping, falling. And even if they come here, they will then jump over here, fall down, and restart and everything. It's definitely quite an exploit, and during Horde nights, it's actually really fun. Now, it is an exploity base because it's using the AI against it, and some people don't like doing that, but it's also quite a massive build, and I've actually heard and seen pictures of people using this in their survival worlds where they've built a nice big platform and a big ramp and uses it as their main base because it's really, really effective and it's fun. You can build it a lot of different ways as long as you're using the basic concept of confusing the zombies. On number 4, we have the formerly known as Angry Birds base that once I put in the water and the glass, looked more like a drooling pig base. And the reason I like this one is because it was based on my best Horde base ever concept that I used in Alpha 16, which was amazingly effective for a small build that actually didn't require tons of resources, but it could basically handle 64 concurrent zombies at max difficulty, at max game stage, and they would never actually break through. And even if they did break through, well, there was actually a fall trap there as well, which would kill them if nothing else. And the way it works is that it lures the zombies in here. Hopefully they're spawning out here. It is set into a cliffside, which actually helps as far as pathing, because it means that they will try to go through here because it's the easiest way of actually going here. I might have actually messed this one up. I don't think these ones should be here because I think they might block the pathing. Can't remember. But anyway, as they come in here, there are a bunch of turrets that I can enable if I wanted to. There are tripwires, and if you look here, the floor is actually set underwater, and it's a 2.5 block height up to the blade traps. Only the demolishers should be hitting them, or rather be hit by them. And for everything else, there are these nice little dart traps lining the sides. And they come up here, they get buzzed by the electric fences, and a bunch more of the dart traps. You could have blade traps here if you wanted to. I removed them. Actually, they removed themselves because cops and everything vomit. And you could stand back here, and because of the way the zombie AI work in the vision, they actually can't see you. I can look out. I have the door, obviously, but the door is actually seen as a non-transparent block. So while I can see the zombies, I can pop out here and basically shoot. They couldn't actually see me. And even if they randomly vomited, well, there was bulletproof glass in front. Really, really effective, and it's a very legit base because, well, it didn't require you to really exploit the AI in any way. The zombies come in the front, they get killed as they pass by the traps, and you can of course shoot them by yourself as well. They get slowed by the water, which just makes it a bit more manageable, but there were no real exploits. And of course, as a result, it means there were definitely some repairs that have to be made because, you know, they do explode a little bit, they do damage everything and things like that, and does require, you know, some darts and everything, which is fairly straightforward. But it was a very legit base. Downside is you can't easily grab the loot because it's here in the front, and you suppose you maybe sometimes could stand here and just grab it, but most of the time you actually didn't actually get the loot. Still, it was a really fun base concept to put together and sort of see how do we handle the zombies, how do we handle the demolishers, and how do we handle the cops, because the cops vomiting caused a lot of problems. I really enjoyed this base, and I thought it looked cool from the outside as well. And on number 3 we have what I call the merry-go-round pit base, and it looks fairly unassuming. It's like, you know, a little bit of a platform and a small little hut there, and you know, how can this be effective? But actually it's actually super effective because the way it's been built is actually using one might call it a block exploit, where basically the block on the left and the block on the right, they actually touch each other, so they provide as much stability as if they were just square blocks. But the zombies come up here and they fall down, they slide down using the slippery slopes, because even if they try to get across, no, they can't get across, so they will fall down here. They will take some damage, the slippery slopes here which will prevent damage all around. Either way, the zombies are trying to path out, so I've given them a way out, which is up here, climb up the stairs, and then they're back to where they want to continue, and they'll run up and fall down again. Meanwhile, because you're up here, you can stand and shoot them, you can throw pipe bombs, you can throw Molotovs and whatever, or you just close everything and just sit here and hide the whole Horde night. So it's really effective, even without using any of the traps. I had played around with putting traps in the side if you want to kill them with the traps, but that would be pretty standard. And the way I wanted to show was really how can you do this, which is effectively just a passive base. They will run around and they will run around and they will run around, but they have no way of getting to the player. And if you close the door, which obviously you want to do, they can't even see you, so they're not going to vomit. You're going to be super safe on top, and whether you kill the zombies or not, well, they'll still be running around. It does take quite a bit of effort to dig out, but it's actually a very fun base to play around with. And as a concept, it just works so well. You could use this as an idle Horde base because there's no way for the zombies to actually take you out. And on the number 2, we have the multi-function XP base. And this base took me, I had the concept in my head, and it worked out fairly well when I built it. There were a couple snags because of how certain blocks interact. But as a very quick walkthrough, I have ramps up because of course you need to get the zombies up. And then they walk across here where, well, aren't they going to fall down? Yes, they definitely will fall down. So the point of this one is that there's actually 2 switches. Actually, there are 3, so let me show you what the switches do. So the first one here is basically supposed to be on all the time because you want to use it to prevent the zombies from actually falling down between here, because if they do, they will start triggering. You can see it will trigger, and they'll start falling on top of these ones and break them, and that's not what you want. So you want to have this like this. This basically causes the zombies to, as it is right now, they will run on top of these pillars that you can barely see. I should have painted them a little bit. These ones here, they will try to run across these ones, which works really well. No problem at all. It will, however, be slowed down. So it's a slow XP path. You can stand back here and you can just shoot them. Bam, 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 bam. Really good. If you want to have them run even faster, you enable the second set where now, because we have a second, not a drawbridge, second bridge here made by the garage doors, they will actually not be slowed down. So they will run here really fast. Why, do you ask? Well, because that's when you want them to run over here. They'll try to go over the slippery slope. They will fall down into your kill pit, and here they will be slaughtered because we have all these dart traps on the side, which really will just kill them. And you have, of course, electric fences as well that are effective. So in between the electric fences, in between the darts, it will kill them really fast. Now the third switch is, if I show you, I enable it, it will close here. And that's in case you want to do XP farming. It means that they will go and run over here. You can shoot at them, they will fall down, but they won't drop down into your kill pit, but they will restart and run around again. You get a second chance and a third chance to kill them, and so on. Even better, I have, if I go down here, I showed how to actually create a looting mechanism. So in this kill pit, a lot of zombies will of course be dying if you have it open, but all the bags that end up here, you can actually loot them from this side, and that can be really effective. And even though I didn't make it nice and pretty here, it does give you very good access into the middle here. Not that you want to stand here during the horde, because then you might get digging zombies, but it's a very easy way to go and loot. And I really love this concept because it combines multiple base designs. It combines the slippery slopes to get the zombies to come towards you and fall down. It uses the garage doors to cover or open the pit, and it uses the pit itself to kill the zombies if you want to have experience or just loot from the zombie or the masses of zombies that will come in. If you want to manually get more experience, well, then you can basically use the slow lane in the middle where the zombies will path across. They'll be slowed because of the barbed wire fences underneath. They won't damage them, so they will last. And you'll get the experience that way. And you can just use whatever configuration you want to. Slow, fast, pit open or closed, which gives you effectively a multifunction experience base. And it was really fun to make it and sort of trying to figure out how to make it work. I did have some issues with the zombies not really slowing down, or sometimes they were slowing down, and I, trying to get this dual garage door concept to work, but finally I worked it out, and I liked the result. And let's have the drum roll. Let's look at number 1. And it is the lootable maze base. And it's a very unassuming and fairly ugly on the outside, actually. I have to say myself, in hindsight. I mean, it's alright, but it's not super pretty. But it's a very effective concept for getting game loot. So what it basically is that I built it up and I've given the zombies, and you can run this through even with a very high game stage and very high concurrent zombies. The zombies will run in here. They'll trigger all the tripwires and they'll get basically skewed by the dart traps. There's here, they come here, still getting killed. Here, still getting killed. As they come here, they are also still getting killed, and here, and here. And if they do make it out here, they'll be hit by the turrets, because they want to get down to the player here or through this door, depending on what you have. Now the player will be back here, where he'll have a pretty good view, and you can actually throw Molotovs and everything over there. You can throw grenades because you'll see them coming. I blocked off everything so you don't get cops vomiting just because they're running outside. When you want to grab all the loot, you just come here and grab it, because it all falls down here. And this is why it's really fun, because it gives you so many loot bags. I mean, I don't know how many I got during a Blood Moon Horde. It was something like 100 loot bags. Not that the loot is extremely interesting. It does give you a fair bit of nice stuff, but it's just so fun to loot. And to be honest, when I was doing this with a big horde, it looked like the whole area in the front was just covered by the yellow loot bags. So many of them, and it was just crazy. And there was tons below as well. So many bags that I couldn't loot them before they actually despawned, because there were just so many of them. It looked like people have just been throwing out the trash. And the concept is fairly straightforward. The zombies will path through trying to get to you, and then you just fill the path with tons of dart traps, and of course electric fences to slow them down. The main key thing was really using the ramps and the wedges to create an opening where the loot bags would slide down, because they would be gently nudged by the zombies trying to run there. They would fall down to below and you could safely go and pick them up. And that was really, really useful if you like to get all the loot. If you don't care about the loot, that's fine. You can just use this as a passive experience base if you have advanced engineering up, so you get the experience from the kills when your electric traps are killing. And the good thing about this design is that you actually could build it in a lot of different places. I built it sort of up on stilts here next to a hill because that gave me a pretty good view of the surrounding area. I don't like to build deep in the ground, but you could build this underground as well. You just need to provide a path in, which you could do from the top, have the zombies run in, kill them, and the loot bags fall in on below where you have a loot chamber, and that would work equally well. You could hide this whole concept in the ground. And those are my top 5 base concepts. It's just a few of the ones I've made. I've probably made, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 bases of different sizes. On land, in the sea, underground, under the sea, and a lot of combinations. And again, these are not necessarily the ones that are the most effective. There are more effective ones out there, but I like to have bases that have some slightly different, that are done slightly different, that are using a different mechanic than most people make their bases. If you're going to do a cool base, why not make it a little bit unique, even though, of course, it might be simply putting a lot of base concepts together into your configuration and the way you want to have it. But do share your best 5 base concepts. I would love to hear in the comment section below. And as always, I will catch you next time.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.